Yes. Stephen is here. About time. He's about to fire you.
Yep.
Yo.
Man, you need a haircut or something.
Dude, it's called the lockdown, brah. Yo, I went to the barber shop today. I go to this place called Great Clips, and they told me the wait time was 2 hours. I was like, screw that. It's because they just opened like 2-3 days ago, so there's just a whole freaking. I was like, I'm not going back, so I'll do it later this week. I don't care, whatever. I look like a bomb. What else is new?
Whatever. Just do what I did before. Just grow it all the way out.
It might come to that. I just don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah, do what you got to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the part where it's our disclaimer to anybody who hears us.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is the intro. There's 2 videos after this for anyone that watches this, and we discuss the George Floyd killing, whether it was racist or not, the fact that people don't think things through critically, they just go with emotion. What else was there? There was the church. Well, we'll talk more about the church later, but there was stuff like that. Basically, it's critical thinking and whether this was racist or not. The George Floyd thing and the riots.
Christians, how Christians, there was a lot of that. I know we talked about COVID, obviously.
Oh, yeah, and the coronavirus, too, which is passed us by so fast now that the riots are here and everything. No, suddenly the virus doesn't exist anymore. Suddenly the fight against racism is a cure for the virus.
The virus was the cure for cancer and heart disease and diabetes and all that type of stuff. It was like the cure.
So now, if you get AIDS, go out and burn a few stores down, and you'll be fine.
And you'll be fine.
You'll be cured. You'll be cured.
I just found this thing. You're gonna like it. I'll send it to you. It's this guy on YouTube whose name I can't remember, but it just strangely enough popped up there. Christian dude, and he is anti the woke church.
Oh, well, good.
Anti woke church, and so he goes into it in a number of ways. And there's a couple articles, actually. Have you heard of, because of this movement and stuff like that, the book White Fragility or whatever? All those books out there, there's a couple things I'm going to send to you, and we could put into the week at some point, or discuss it and advertise it. It was just so well written, and
Who was it?
I forget, but it's
just send it to me.
And again, we send all these things to you, and just the links, and I'll just send one video from the guy's YouTube channel. And he doesn't hold anything back. He doesn't hold anything back, and it's really nice because, dude, man, it's just gotten to the point of absolute ridiculousness from Christians. And what would be fun is if we get Ben on here sometime, and it is a much different approach. But at least on this topic, dude, I've talked to him for like 4 different hours about this stuff.
Really?
We walked into time, and then we were on the phone another time. Yeah, and there was no disagreement. He's very upset. Like, very just.
Wait, he's upset about what?
All the riots and all this crap.
So he agrees with us then, or?
Strangely enough, yeah.
That it's not a racist killing and everything, or we have no proof that it was racist. Because that's what I think. I think that nobody stopped to question whether it was the cop was doing it because it was a black man or he just did it because it was a dude and he was pissed. Like nobody stopped to think like, did he kill him because he was black? Right? Yeah.
So, I agree about that. I don't remember where Ben stood specifically on that. He was more about the loss of rule of law and the riots and all this sense going on, and we've talked about it before, like what you and I had talked. We've talked about where it's like, in my opinion, I'm perfectly fine with any store owner, a person who actually owns their own business. It's theirs.
Yeah.
I don't. They put up a sign that says, "We reserve the right to refuse to service to name the person." I don't care. That's their right. It's anyone's right to dislike or personally like hate whoever they want to. But in order for society to function, we have laws to where we say you can't touch them, you can't harass them. Don't
Right.
do those things. And guess what? If you put that sign up in 2020, if people were given that freedom, the businesses would close. It takes care of itself. It
Right.
really does.
That's what a
Without
free society,
riots,
yeah.
without
Yeah.
riots, without any of that type of stuff, it would kill itself. So I
Right.
say, let them do it. Let them
Yeah.
do it. Stop trying to dictate how a person feels towards somebody else. Stop trying to control how a person thinks. Just let people hate who they want to hate. If you know, you just run into the Christians where it's just like, or just people. But again, I say Christians who, no, I will not let anyone make racist jokes around me. Oh no, you do not tell someone how they can talk. Okay,
Right.
if you don't want to speak, if you don't want to tell racist jokes, then you do not tell racist jokes. If you don't want to be around it, then you walk away. But you do not tell someone what they can and cannot say. You cannot say
Right.
that around me. Well, then bugger off there, bud. Get out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. You don't have to stay here. You're right. You can leave. But you don't have
Right.
the right to tell me what I can and cannot say. The
Right.
jokes that I want to tell. You don't have that right. And that's where a
Right.
lot of Christians are. It's like, we're going to just stop people from behaving badly. No, no. Your responsibility is you. Anyone else, bugger off. You can have a discussion about it. But if we
Yeah.
get to the point where, if you, Peter, say, Stephen, I think it's sin that you tell those jokes. Okay, well, I disagree with you. Well, we have come to the conclusion. We're going to agree to disagree. And so if you don't like it, I'm going to continue to do it. Walk away.
Yeah.
It's that it's
Well,
that simple.
in the Bible, nobody's commanded to force anybody to stop saying this or that.
No,
Our
no,
witness is supposed to be by example, not by force. You know,
no.
there's no example of Christ forcing anybody to say or do anything in the Bible, yet he just led by example. He was an example for us to follow, not like Muhammad, who put everybody to the sword that disagreed with him, or who was an
Yeah,
infidel. So yeah,
yeah.
it's a big difference. Yeah.
It is.
Um,
And I'm just getting kind of sick of that that approach, that
well, I'm getting
stupid.
sick of the fact that Christians, look, this whole woke Christianity thing is subtle because, like, it's called social justice, and if you say, well, I'm not for that, what, you're not for justice, so like it has this emotional pull to it, and people, it sounds noble and just and everything because we're against racism, we're against cops killing black people because they're black and all this kind of stuff, but nobody investigates whether any of that is actually happening. I had a
Yeah, sure.
Christian. I go to an Anglican church right now, and I had a Christian in one of their groups on Facebook say, like, what was he saying? Something along the lines about social justice and everything, and how there is, the fact that these black people are getting killed by cops in the ghettos and everything. That's proof of systemic racism and everything. Just buying into it wholesale. And I said to him, well, first off, that you're judging all these police officers' hearts then, unless they came out and said, you know what, I shot him because he was black. Unless you heard that, then you're judging his heart on whether he was racist or not. What actually, and we could talk about this more, but what actually I think is
Yeah.
going on is it's the war on drugs, all that stuff is a war on poor people. It doesn't matter what color of
Correct.
skin. It doesn't
Correct.
matter. It doesn't matter what they could be purple, they could be green, they could be rainbow colored. The cops don't give a crap. It's the fact that the Hispanic and black people that live in there are poor. It's poor people that are being oppressed. It doesn't
Well,
matter
just
what the
look.
race is, because logically, if the cops were racist, why are they not arresting Kobe Bryant, Will Smith? Why are rich black people not being arrested wholesale all over the country and shot the way poor ones are? It's because they're shooting poor people, not black people. We
Yeah,
can talk
no,
about
that's
that
true. And
more, but
well, I mean, it's true. And I actually had this discussion, and I think that throughout history, it's been a class thing. It's been a socioeconomic
oh,
thing.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
the question of one socioeconomic stat. I think that's the correct way of saying it. It's the haves versus the have-nots, and I got no beef with that. I think that's that's just the way the world always has been, always will be.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I listened to someone last night And I was like, it just put words into what I was thinking was, it's that idea, but at the same time, that hasn't worked so well. So what we're going to do is, instead of the oppressed people or the poor people, we subdivide it into black, transgender, the
Yeah.
LGBT, that type of stuff. And now these are the oppressed, these are the poor people, all
Yeah.
this type of stuff. When the fact of the matter is, guys, it's still a class thing. It's
Oh
still a
yeah.
class. It's the have, it's the have-nots, all that type of stuff. Those are the people who get the sorry end of the stick. The white
Hmm.
people throughout all of Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, with all their opioid addictions and all that type of stuff. There's tons of crime, all that type of stuff. You just don't hear so much about it because it's like, not the cities. That's a big thing too.
Oh
You're
yeah.
not going to hear too much about what goes on outside of cities.
No.
You know
No.
what I'm saying? So that's the heavily populated areas where everyone's going to be seeing everybody. They're going to be shooting everybody, all this type of stuff. But I agree with you. It has nothing to do with that. But again, you're not going to get any Christian, woke Christians on board. Anyone who says, I'm racist, I'm white, any of those people, you're never going to get them on board because they've been duped by
Yeah.
society, by culture, by language. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like, oh, Donald Trump is just appealing to Anglicans by waving that Bible. Do you know that you were just eaten up by the use of justice, uh, racism, all this type of stuff? It was the same thing used on you guys. You didn't think about it. You heard those words and automatically, I'm a Christian. Those are things I stand for. So without thinking about it, I'm going to go do these things. It's just like, it's the
Yeah.
same thing, guys. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. Just you fell for it. You fell
Yeah.
for it, hook, line, and sinker, and you fell for lies. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what they are.
Yeah.
The video I'm going to send you, the guy, he says it's not mistakes. You guys are liars. He's very
Who you say he's saying who is liars? The
the woke Christians.
what? Well, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I want to watch it
Not
then.
that they're mistaken, not that
Yeah.
they're mistaken, but you're liars. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, there
dude,
there are there are ones. There's a guy. His name's Esau. I forget his last name, but he's in the because I'm in these Anglican groups now, and he's a black Anglican priest or something like that. He's pretty high up. He's a bishop, I think. But I mean, he's buying into this whole like liberation theology that Christ came to save us from our whiteness and from our oppression and all this kind of stuff. First off, you can't find any of that in the Bible, not even
no,
remotely, not even
no, of
close.
course not.
The only passage in the Bible that ever talks about any kind of like social, that might even give you the impression of like kind of a like socialist type system is in Acts, where they talk about everybody's bringing their gifts to the apostles and nobody went without because everybody that had possession shared it with everybody else that had some. But that's it. There's nothing outside of that. So there is no biblical support for socialism or race theory or any of that in the Bible. And to be a priest in the supposedly reformed American Anglican church is just ridiculous, but that's like it's coming in like a virus into the whole thing now. It really
And
is.
I don't care what any of the those people, or just don't even call them woke, because people are going to be offended by it. But
They're
people
not
falling for
woke.
this stuff, well, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. That term is so stupid, and
I
most people
know.
will find it offensive because they'll associate it with social justice warriors and snowflakes and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, whatever you can do. I mean, it is the same thing, but it's so sad because for growing up, I kept hearing, you got to be careful. Satan will come in. Satan is the father of lies. You cannot give an inch and all this type of stuff. And you're just looking how many inches the church has given, how
Oh,
many inches
uh,
Christians have given. It's like, guys, Satan. I won't even say Satan killed the church. You killed the church.
oh yeah. Yeah, the church is
The church.
it's the church's fault that the country is the way it is right now. I blame the church, which means I blame myself. But
Correct. It's fault.
it's the Christian American Christians' fault that America is the way it is right now. It's
Yeah.
not It's not the atheist's fault. It's not the gay people's fault. It's not
No,
the only
come
reason
on,
that
yeah, no.
the only reason it's not corrupt politicians' fault. We have corrupt politicians because the gospel's not being preached in the church. There's no fear of God in the country, all these kinds of things. We have atheists because the gospel's not being preached. There's no fear of God in the land. We have gay people because sexual morality is not being taught. The gospel's not being preached. There's no fear of God in the land. So, and all that starts in the home and the church. And if you don't
Yep.
have it there, then don't cry to me when the country falls apart. And that's exactly what's
Yeah.
happening now. The country is
That,
falling apart.
I think
It's
that
not
was
going
right on.
to.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Well, I mean, still
He called me
stating
last
God
night.
pulling out the stoppers, essentially.
The restraints. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's things.
Well,
That's
yeah.
it's.
I mean, read Romans chapter 1. Yeah. And that's what
Mhm.
Dad always says, but he's right. Romans chapter 1 is
It's
exactly
yeah.
what's happening right now. God giving them over to a reprobate mind, which is insane.
Yeah.
A reprobate mind is the insane mind. It's the unnatural, insane mind. That's why he talks about unnatural acts, man being consumed with passion for his fellow man, and vice versa with women.
Mhm.
That's unnatural. So all of this stuff is because if you take God out of the picture, then you have no logic, you have no rationality. All that stuff is because God created it. If you remove God, you don't have any of that, which is why they
Yeah.
say that it's possible to be a woman in a man's body and all this other kind of gibberish that just goes. They accuse Christians of not following science and the Bible being
Mhm.
it cannot be, it's not cohesive with science, and yet they say that my inner self is a woman, and even though I have a penis and all this kind of stuff, dude. And you talk to me about science, there's 50,000 genders now. Are you kidding me?
Well, see, that's the fun
We're
part
gonna die
too.
in 12 years from the sun god,
Yeah.
the sun
Well,
monster. I mean, like, come on.
yeah. Well, here's the thing too that, and a lot of Christians have fallen into it, is the religion of science.
Well, it is, yeah,
Okay.
it's their
It's the
religion, yeah.
religion of science, 100%.
Yeah.
And of course, people won't acknowledge that or whatever. And it's like we are going to again blindly follow because these are scientists; they know more than us. And so it's just like, I mean, a lot of Christians don't agree that the science is there for transgender and all that type of stuff, or evolution, right? These
Oh
are two
man.
huge areas that we would disagree with entirely, but the
Yeah.
experts say that this is the way it is. So it's like, guys, if these are two huge areas, right? It should make you like big areas that is these people are wrong about,
Oh yeah.
right? They're blatantly wrong. You really should be concerned about the rest of the areas instead of just blindly following. You
Right.
know, it's just an appeal to authority without thinking that all this type of stuff, and it's just dude, it's again, my premise is that Satan gets this earth because it's his kingdom. So I'm not too concerned about that. It's just annoying. It really is just annoying. I've had so many different conversations with people about just the race thing going on now, and my premise is very, very different. If two people are coming from different ideas of no, I don't believe that what happened to George Floyd was a racist thing. Yes, I do believe it was some form of hit on the guy based on the history that those two had with each other from where they worked. It was a front for something else going on, which the place that they used to work burned to the ground. The police station that had the evidence on the place burned
Yeah.
to the ground. So you have
Yeah.
all these ties to it gone. It's like
Yeah.
It was like Hillary Clinton was there.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the loose ends tied. But we're going to automatically say, no, that's not true. And even if that is true, and I've heard people say things like this to me, even if that is true, that still doesn't change what's going on in America. And I just want to say to those
Uh,
people, it's like, hey, you wouldn't be talking about it if this incident did not occur. So yes, it is important because this is what started the whole damn thing off again. And did you
yeah.
see that one guy at Wendy's get shot?
Dude,
The black guy at Wendy's get shot?
I was just telling Jen about that. That is bullcrap. At least, okay, I
He
have to
lost
clarify,
his job. He
because
lost
at
his
least
job
as least as far as we know, that was
so
bullcrap.
far.
You know, the guy, as far as what we know, the guy took the taser and was pointing it at the cop, and then I guess he tried to
Saw
run
the
something.
video. I saw the video of it. from the
Okay.
cop car. You see the footage of what's going on.
So
So
what
it's like
happened
the
then?
guy automatically goes. So I'll say, just based on the video, you see exactly what you're saying. They're about to take him in because it's a DUI.
He
Okay.
was passed
He
out.
freaks out. He starts going crazy and all that type of stuff. Yeah. And he resists arrest and all that type of stuff. And he grabs the whatchamacallit,
Taser.
not stun gun, whatever you want to call it,
Taser.
taser. Okay?
Yeah.
Taser. Okay? And even at that point, he's fighting the cops. Okay. And he has the taser and all this type of stuff. And now they shoot. Okay. After he's running off, actually shot at them or whatever it is. It's like, okay. When I had first heard about the story, I had heard about an interaction with only one cop and this black
Right.
guy. I saw
Yeah.
two cops. There were two
Yeah.
cops involved. And potato. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what though? We'll look at it at the same time. And again, this is something you'd have to look up. The history of this guy. This
Yeah.
guy was put into jail for beating his children. He was in there for 7 years, out on probation because of the COVID thing. He's drunk at the Wendy's, and now he knows he'll be going back in. That's violation of parole
Oh
for
yeah.
the DUI. And now he fights them. And again, we can discuss. I don't think they're two separate. You can still say he was a bad guy and what happened if it was bad to him, if it was injustice, the injustice occurred. But I don't think so. But
Yeah.
everybody will. Everybody will. Everybody, those woke Christians will jump on it and say, another one, regardless of what happened. There were two
Oh,
of
yeah.
them. That doesn't mean they're not in danger.
Dude, no.
You
Look, the guy. Look,
just shut up.
the guy took the taser. He pointed it at the cops. At that point, shoot him. Get it over. Just shoot him. Doesn't mean you have to kill him or whatever. Shoot him in the leg, whatever. But they shot him and killed him. Look, but it's what's the fallout from all this stuff that is going to actually make the country just crumble, because cops are quitting everywhere. Those two cops that were involved in that are fired. They're done. They'll never serve again, and yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
According to the story, I read it, and now whether that's true or not, who knows? But the police chief, because they were fired, the police chief, this was in Atlanta, quit. She resigned in disgust. I mean, and in that incident, remember where they pushed the 75-year-old man? There was like 100 cops that resigned in disgust over that too, and police chiefs that were quitting. Cops are quitting and resigning left and right. And there's a lot of things about the police force I don't like. The way they're trained to be military. They're trained as military in their interactions with civilians. That's not good. But if you don't have cops, you don't have a freaking country. Your country's done. It's over. And the cops, I mean, they're disbanding them. Talking about disbanding them in Minneapolis. You have that Chaz area in Seattle. You heard about that, right?
That place was burned to the ground. I don't care. Yeah, I know about it.
All that area is an area where a bunch of junkies have gathered together to party and do whatever they want, and anarchists, and it's going to turn to crap, just like the Lord of the Flies did. That's all, and then
here's the thing, it gets to a point, it's like, let the fools just kill themselves.
Well, I would say that, except that it's going to boil out on us.
At some point, but see, that's the thing, and we can disagree with that happening, but it's going to happen. What do you think the whole movement was for? People, do you think it's accidental now? All the cops are, it was disband the cops. Do you think this is do people actually think that this is accidental?
No.
Like this is an organic movement? Yeah, but also, dude, you just look at for example, the Black Lives Matter, the organization. Look at the funding. Look at all the amount of money, the amount of money that they have received. Do you know where it's gone? To Democratic nominees. Millions and millions. It didn't go to black people. It didn't go to neighborhoods. Like that right there should disassociate you from the Black Lives Matter movement. Right there, you should have nothing to do with it. As a Christian, you should have nothing to do with it. You may still say hey, I support black. Okay, that's great. Do not join in this movement that's going on in the country, that the rest of everyone is going on. You as a church, you as a community, whatever, you can do what you need to do. Band with organizations that are already set up, that help feed the poor, that help get jobs, that help fund fund the schools, put your money in the schools, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but they are still jumping on the bandwagon of this is where we need to be. And no, you're going with the culture. You're not counterculture. You are not Christian. You are not behaving like Christians are supposed to. You have
Right.
jumped on to what society said. This is what we need to do. You are not supposed to be friends with these people. These people are liars, you know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now you are one of them. Now you are
Well,
one of them.
no, dude, there's no bigger example of the hypocrisy of all the looters and the protesters than the fact that when they go and burn businesses down, they burn black people's businesses to the ground. So we're protesting racism here and the oppression of black people. So many black people that own stores right now are suffering just because of the virus. And now they're finally coming out of this virus, just about to open their shops down. And to protest racism, you burn the freaking thing to the ground. Cool. Way to go. You're really on the Black Brothers side there. Yeah, give me a
Yeah,
break.
well, that's where you have to be able to see the disconnect, that the riots were not organic.
No, dude,
That's the disconnect.
I know that
Like,
for a fact.
yeah, well, I know, we all do. That's why I'm saying it's like, well, you know, the peaceful protesters, man, they have every right to go out and do that. The rioters were bought and paid for, dude. So it's like, people, you need to realize what's going on here. You need to
Yeah,
see, you have to use your brains. And I've seen Christians justify the righteous anger and all this type of stuff. It's like, you guys are idiots. You guys are,
that is
I'm
stupid.
sorry, that is so anti-Christian. And also when you find out that the people doing it aren't the protesters, the rioters are a separate group of people. Antifa and the people paid and brought in on buses aren't the protesters, and they're not
Right.
all black doing it. There's white people burning these building downs too, guys. You have to make the disconnect and condemn it and
Yeah,
go after these things. They're two separate movements,
yeah,
the riot protests. But there's
yeah,
not that. There's not that. People aren't doing that. At least they're not doing it. They might do it quietly. They might condemn it quietly, you know. But you have to have the same voice that you do for injustice when a bad cop kills a black man or
oh
a
yeah,
regular man.
yep,
Have the
yep,
outrage, but they don't.
no.
They don't. And they
Well,
still have the gall to say, "No, it's not because I was told to feel upset." Yes, it is. You're controlled by the media. You're brainwashed. You're programmed to think a certain way. And they click their fingers and you respond the way you're commanded to respond. People just don't understand the psychological warfare, the programming that the upper up implement on regular people. It's
oh
like, oh,
sure.
brain control, that's crazy talk. No, it's not. No, it's not. Just think about advertising, dude. Just that's called brain control. That's
Yeah,
suggestibility. You know, all this thing. You're gonna buy things that you would never have bought before. That's because they planted that in your head. Do you think
yeah.
that the government, the CIA, who's in control of the news, isn't doing the same thing?
Well, the problem with that, the
No.
reason for that is because people will say, yeah, oh, all that kind of stuff happened in Nazi Germany and it was terrible, and in Russia and in China, but this is America, so that doesn't happen here. And that's why so many people are just so brain
Oh my God.
dead and have just like allowed so many things to happen because they have this idea that like America is God's country and, that would never happen here. And
Not,
our
not. This is
politicians,
gonna.
if those same things were happening in China, then yeah, of course we'd say that's bad. But this is America, so our politicians have our best interest at heart. It's like, dude, you need to wake up. You need to realize that most politicians don't give a crap about you. You could be dying in the
Don't.
street in front of them. They would not piss on you to put out the fire. They don't care. They don't care. They care about power and money, getting reelected so they can have more power and money. That's it.
And again, people will talk, even like Republicans will talk, Republican Christians
Yeah.
will talk anti-globalism. What do you think is going on, folks? Again, it's not, we always separate it. You've got America, you got China. The globalists are all across the world, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're all across the world, and they're the top most people in these countries. They're
Yeah.
not working separately of each other. Again, it's like a pyramid. We've talked about this. The further
Yeah.
down you go, you may be working for the top and not know you're working for the top. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
most
So
people.
I'm not condemning. I'm not saying that most politicians are bad people.
No.
Are all the Ted Cruzes out there, and are all the name your Democrat, right? Are all them bad people? No. No, I don't think so. Are they all in the know about it? No. Understand what is going on. As Christians, we need to understand what is going on and what is the push that we need to fight against. And what is
Yeah.
the purpose? What could possibly be the purpose? Like, Stephen, let's say what you're saying is correct here. What could possibly be the reason that they would want all this stuff going on? Well,
Right.
why would they want the police, disbanded? Why would they want the destruction of the country? People are very quick to use the common phrase "out of chaos, order," whatever it is. How do I say it? I'm saying out
Uh,
of chaos. I think it's
it's, uh,
out of chaos, order, or something along those lines.
something like that.
That's
Yeah.
the whole idea. You have to destroy what we had for something new to be created. You get rid of the cops, dude, you're going to have a new I mean, that was Nazi Germany. They
Yeah.
disbanded the regular police and brought
The
in their
brown
own
shirts.
police.
The brown
The
shirts.
brown
Yeah.
shirts.
And the
Correct.
Gestapo came
Yeah,
in and all that kind of stuff. The SS. Yeah. Yeah.
correct. You have to disband the old. Not saying that necessarily the old was the ideal. I'm just saying you have to
Right.
disband the old, get rid of the old, and what better way to do it than have the people call
Mm-hmm.
for it, and then
Mm-hmm.
have and all this type of stuff. It's like, what could possibly be the reason? It's like, well, let's put on our thinking caps. One, we acknowledge Satan. Now, it's like, where's Waldo? Where's Satan?
Yeah.
Christians, we
Yeah.
need to start playing this game of teach your kids, where is Satan?
Yeah.
Look for him. His
Yeah.
servants. Look for the motives that could possibly be there.
Mm-hmm.
Err on the side of caution when it comes to these things,
Be
guys.
be a little
Or
more
he's going to be in the
skeptical.
church. He's going to be in the pew.
Oh yeah, I mean, we should just assume he's in the church. I mean, look at what's happened to the church. Look at the denominations and how they're crumbling and separating and splitting and dissolving. You should just
Mm-hmm.
assume he is. If the church is, the body of Christ, his
Yeah.
representation here on earth, the gates of hell will not prevail and everything. Well, the gates of hell are definitely going to try. So you should
Oh,
assume that
absolutely.
you should assume when people come in saying, "Hey, listen, your church isn't getting as many people in the pews as it used to. You need to change this, this, and this, and then more people will like you, and you'll get more people in the pews." And then they always try to be subtle about it, so they'll say, "And then more people will hear the gospel," and all this kind of stuff. But you need to change
Mm-hmm.
the music. You need to water down some of the doctrine. You need to dress a little more normally. Don't wear a suit. Do
Listen,
this, do
you can
that.
give the message. You can give the message without offending. I just posted something on Facebook.
Ah,
It's like,
that's ridiculous.
it was an extreme. It was an extreme, but at the same time, it's like, hey, if your messages aren't offending people, you're not preaching the gospel.
Well, that's the absolute truth. That's why they call it the offense of the gospel. The gospel is offensive, and if you're not offending people, then you're not preaching the gospel, period. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
I mean, I don't think
duh.
that every sermon has to be like an offensive thing, or even
No.
have to say it. But again, like, I think, oof, I squished a bug and it smells pretty gross. Oh, but it was on my own. That's gross. Um, but it's just, it's again, a soft Christianity, a watered down Christianity, a watering down of the Bible.
Yeah.
Like you're saying again, is truth. Is truth. Is what you're preaching truth. Okay. And if someone gets
Yeah.
offended, again, why is our automatic response to someone getting offended like, oh, you should not do that? Why haven't we taught people to not? Why aren't we teaching our kids? Why isn't the focus, hey, stop getting offended? You may not like something,
Yeah.
but see, the thing is, like, well, Stephen, you're offended by people getting offended. But I'm not trying to stop them from doing anything. You know what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying? I'm
Yeah.
trying, when people get offended, it's like, now you need to change your behavior right there, all that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
if I'll say this, hey guys, keep getting offended, but stop telling people what to do.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? But that's not how it is. It's now, you know what? I was offended by what you said in that Bible study, or, how you said it, blah, 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 blah. That needs to change instead of arguing a message, like, and stuff like that, how you
Yeah.
said it, you
Yeah.
called a name,
Oh, good
like a
grief.
3-year-old, we're gonna have problems with that. Not gonna behave like adults and say, hey, we can have this conversation. You can say whatever you want, but I'm gonna listen for the message, discern the message, and argue the message. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
No, nobody wants to debate the substance of it. They just want to debate the emotion. That's it. That's it. I didn't like the way you said that, so don't say it next time. Well, if it's true, I'm going to say it. I don't care whether you like it or not.
Well, also, yeah, it's always, well, you could have said it better. No, I said it the way I said it. Okay.
Look,
Now,
the
you
way,
need to take responsibility for yourself. You're trying to tell me how to do stuff. Take responsibility for yourself. Well, you could have said it. No, you could have just been like, okay, well, I don't like how you said that, but I'm going to address what you said. As
right?
opposed to how
Yeah,
you said it, tell you to say it differently. Like, it just,
yeah. No, look, anybody who talks like that is insane, because just look around you. We're at the point in this country and in the church and everywhere else in the whole Western civilization where you just need to say it. If it's true, just say it. Yeah, don't be dropping F-bombs, and there's no reason to be pointing the finger and insulting people or doing unchristian things like that. But at the same time, just say it. Like, I'm sick and tired of people trying to, like, beat around the bush and, oh, I don't want to say this. Let's not talk about this in this circumstance, all this kind of stuff. No, look, if it's true, just say it. Just get over it. Just say it. And everyone just gets offended. Who cares? They're probably offended because you said something that was true and they didn't like it. So, we're at the point.
I'm of a little different frame of mind. It's like, I don't care how you say it, the words you use. I don't care if you're dropping as many. I've listened to this. There was Candace Owens and a lineup. They were just of black people, and they were discussing, issues and stuff like that. And the guy who was talking did not agree with Candace on a lot of things, right? And what he was saying, what he was going on about, was really, really good in my mind anyway. And he was just dropping, the N-word and F-bombs and all that type of stuff like crazy. And you know what? I'm just like, maybe it's a problem with me. I don't know. But I don't think it's a problem. I think the problem lies with our inability, we are unable to function if we hear the word, the F word. And now I just can't listen to that. It's like, you need to listen to this guy, because what he's saying very powerfully is true. Very forcefully, very passionately, it's true. So let's behave like adults for a minute. Listen to words that you don't like to hear. Stop cringing. Grow up. Okay? No one's saying you have to say them. No one's saying you have to say them. Okay? And you can continue to speak in whatever nice, touched up manner you want to speak. But stop being this crap, and stop limiting what you're listening to only things that you like to hear. And I'm not just saying the message, but how it's presented. Because some of the best people out there are very, very forceful and passionate about what they're talking about. Even people I don't agree with, I'm listening to them, I'm like, man, that person, this person's not full of BS. I may disagree with you, but man, this person is on fire for what they believe in, what they stand for,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And sometimes people just use it, but it just drives me nuts. Peter, I gotta go in a second, so let's put that.
So anyway, there's 2 other videos after this, so we obviously encourage people to listen to them. And our disclaimer, such as it is that we're not talking about anyone individually or in a personal way. We're talking about topics, broadly speaking, of the entire country. In one of the episodes, we discussed a Facebook conversation, but we're not mentioning any names. We're not talking about anyone specifically. There is no animosity. There is no insulting of individual people. Have I hit all the points or?
Yeah, so just essentially, we're going to discuss. I mean, because we are active on Facebook and we do
Right.
get into
Yeah.
conversations, and um, that conversation we talked about, or um, some of the stuff we talked about today. I've had conversations with people who talk a certain way and all that type of stuff. This is
Yeah.
not an anti those people. This is not like, that's the disclaimer. We're not like going after certain individuals. I think one of the most important things that we're missing today in this world is our ability to disagree, to talk about, even just to have a conversation like, oh, I was talking to so and so and we talked about this and we disagreed, and I think it's
Yeah.
absolutely, and be okay.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I prefer honesty over anything else. I know most people
Sure.
don't want to hear me say to them, oh, that's stupid. But you know what? I'm perfectly fine listening to someone, because I'd rather them just straight out forward say, Stephen, you're an idiot. Like Ben would do. Like Ben does with me. Okay?
Yeah.
Ben will just down, point a finger in my face and say, you're an idiot. You know?
Oh, I know.
I'm just like,
He's done it to me.
oh, dude, he will. I mean, and he's got that anger in his eyes. It's like dealing with dad again.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd rather have that. And here's the amazing thing, and I want people to understand, like, I use this as an example all the time. And like, the brothers did not grow up close, right? We were not a close family. We weren't, you know, so when I use Ben as an example of how people should conduct activities, because Ben and I will scream in each other's faces, and then the next week comes along, we're both texting each other, hey, you want to get beer?
Yeah.
You know? It's like
Yeah.
not even necessarily to argue again. It's just that we're able to fight. We're able to scream at each other and still be good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just because you're brothers. No, I didn't like Ben growing up, and he didn't like me. And I can't remember any close brotherly situations that we ever grew up with. So he was a
Right.
stranger for most of my life, you know,
Yeah.
and a stranger that I didn't really even like, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing. It's like, guys, we need to get to the point where we can fight.
Yeah.
We can fight. And you can point your finger in my face and say, Stephen, you're an idiot. And I can say, you, sir or madam, are just stupid, you know? And let it go. Let it out, all that type of stuff. And then actually realize, hey, you know what? I still love you, and I know who you are. It's like we had that conversation before. I may disagree with you entirely. I may think you're not using your brain at all, and you need to switch that brain on a little bit. But
Right.
not going to condemn your motive as evil. I'm not going to say
Right.
you are evil. I'm not going to condemn you and judge your heart and say you are in the wrong place and you need to ask for forgiveness from God or anything like that. Never going to happen.
Right.
Never going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, disclaimer, we're not talking about anyone specifically.
No.
That's why we keep it as vague as possible, because a lot of the conversations that we will discuss, I've had that conversation with many different people, and I've
Oh, yeah, me
listened to
too.
those conversations. It's that type of talk.
Yeah.
You know, it's that
Yeah.
type of stance that we're talking about. It's not people specifically. And if people want to get angry about it and stuff like that, you can always use Messenger or text instead of putting it on Facebook, because it's a lot easier. I have
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 different conversations right now that I've had over the Messenger voice app
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of on typing, so
Yeah.
that people get tone across and stuff like that. And I
Right.
think it's worked pretty well. I don't know. But
Well.
anyway,
Yeah.
disclaimer, folks. Let's be adults. We're okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah.
Yep. No, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.